Hi, I'm Eileen Roach from Designs and Machine Embroidery, and this is an exciting day here at Dime. We're so happy to see so many people joining us from all over the country, Texas and Wyoming and Massachusetts and Hawaii and Arizona. And I know many of you are here to see my special guest who I can't wait to introduce. So today we're going to be talking about in the hoop projects, special lace projects, and monster hoops and how you use them. But before we get started, let's just take a quick look at the doors. The Dime doors, remember that's an in the hoop free project that's available for you on our website. So I'll go ahead and we'll slide over to PowerPoint so you can get a look at where you get those free designs. And there it is. You can see it's over at our website, which is dzgns.com. And you can just in the search box put doors and it will come up. And they're still available January, February, and March. Next week, we do April. So I thought we would just take a look at a couple favorites that we have seen. And if you don't see yours, maybe it's because you didn't post it and tag it with hashtag Dime Doors, because that's how we're going to find you and include you in our live session. So we do have some beautiful samples from the March doors. Here's A. McCarthy on the left and Candy Bray on the right. And remember, all of those designs that you see are free, and each person adds some of their own personalization. So it's really a lot of fun. And I see our friend Isabel Rian has joined from France. Hello, it's good to have you here with us. And Dinah from San Antonio. Let's see, what else do we have? So we have Candy Bray and Aude Weiss from, I think she's from Norway. I'm not sure. But let's see. Yay, the college I work at is closed. Retha, nice to have you here. Yeah, a lot of people are home today for sure. And that's why we're able to have our special guest today. And because she's home also. Otherwise, she'd be on the road. Let's see. Oh, and Mark, you got the 8x12 and the 5x7 for Christmas. Oh, that's awesome. I hope you've been getting a lot of use out of them, Mark and Melissa. You'll see in our show today, we're going to show lots of different projects that you would use for a monster hoop. In fact, we're going to go from small 4x4 all the way to 10x16. So that'll be a lot of fun. So before we even go any further with the doors, I think it's time to introduce my good friend, Reen Wilcoxson from Indiana and Embroidery Garden. Many of you know her from her work all around the web. So let's give her a big welcome. Hi, Reen. Hi, Reen. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Oh, great. It's, Reen and I have been practicing all morning and we've had some technical issues. So we are delighted to actually hear her voice. Right, Reen?
Right. I was worried.
Yes, we were too. So you have a beautiful selection of samples in front of you. And just explain maybe the one that's standing up right next to you.
Yeah, this is a wooden sign that a good friend of mine, Caroline, that I met through doing events, she lives down in Texas, made me and sent me.
Oh.
She embroidered Embroidery Garden onto tulle and glued that onto the sign. And then she used a lot of my, the lace elements from my collection, the garden flower collection. And you can see how dimensional they are. Maybe I can, you can see.
Oh, yeah, they're layered.
Yes, and she put little crystals inside of the centers.
Beautiful. That's just gorgeous.
Yeah, so that was really sweet of Caroline to send me that. And I've got several other things, my samples that I've stitched out. I haven't had time to stitch a whole lot of them out, but I have stitched out quite a few. This, I made a little ring bearer's pillow.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And I stitched them all in white.
Did you have a specific wedding or bride in mind, or is that just inspiration for someone else?
Right, inspiration, just showing what you can do with the flowers. And this was extremely easy and showing that, they look nice and all in one color too.
Yes, you don't often see, that. So it looks really great. Great idea.
Right. And then here's, these flowers. And I always love to show them from the side so you can see all the dimension.
Yeah, there's so many different layers. So they're stitched in the hoop, right? And you use water soluble, you use the mesh stabilizer.
Yes, I do. I use 2 layers.
Okay.
And just scoop them up. I put my the different petals in that I want, stitch them, rinse them out, let them dry. And when I let mine dry, I kind of, you know, curl the leaves up a little bit as they're drying to give them even more dimension.
Right. So to really kind of shape them as when they're still a little damp, right? And then when they dry, they'll stay in that position, correct?
Right. That's exactly how I do it. And then I just hot glue them together.
Oh, how fun.
This one I used the King Star metallic thread on.
Oh, gorgeous.
No thread breaks or anything.
Yeah.
And I did.
You know, that's our favorite, the King Star metallic. Did you put it in the bobbin?
On this one, I didn't, just because this is going to be, you know, another embellishment, and you're not going to see the back. I just use regular matching thread on the back.
Sure. Right. And why waste, you know, that good metallic in the back if you're not going to see it?
Right. It's not going to be shown from all sides.
Right.
This little sunflower, I put a piece of mylar down before I stitch the petals.
Oh, so that's a nice way to add sparkle.
Right. And in person, it just looks really, really pretty.
Good.
All the flowers in the set are, well, I won't say all, because here's one that's not dimensional.
Oh.
It's all freestanding, but it's not dimensional.
Okay.
But still, it's really pretty.
Yeah. And then I don't mean to interrupt, Reen, but Arnell Burrows asked, do you always use 2 layers of the mesh, or do you sometimes use 1 layer?
I always use 2.
Yeah.
Just because, you know, it works for me.
And they're big designs, and they're stitch intensive, right?
Right. So I do want to use more layers, and I kind of like the flowers to be stiff too. Not not really stiff, but I want them to certainly hold their shape and everything. And you know, sometimes you're in different climates, humidity might you know start to you know mess with them after a while. Something,
and these are really decorative. They're not like a lace design that you would put on a scarf that would be drapey and really fluid, right? These are really more to kind of pop off and either a garment or a handbag or pillow.
One thing I really like about this set is it has a lot of, I'll call them floral elements.
Yeah.
Like this piece, and I can add it to any flower that I want.
Right.
You know, so you can do a lot of mixing and matching. Some of these flowers, I mixed and matched the petals. Maybe I took one from one flower and something else from another flower and created my own flower.
Right. Why not? Yes. And then one person just wanted us to verify. Murtis asked, we use the water-soluble mesh. That's correct. You want it to completely wash away. You do not want any evidence of it after all embroidery and rinsing is complete.
Right. And I use the, you know, like the one that's more fabric-like.
Yes, mesh. So right. That's what we mean. It's not like a film. When we say mesh, it's more like a fabric. Exactly. Yeah.
Because I've seen a lot of people try to use the plastic type, and that just does not work.
That's right. Like Mary Robbins Harper is asking, are we talking poly mesh or water soluble? So we're talking water soluble mesh, totally dissolvable. Poly mesh is a stabilizer that would go inside a garment and stay there permanently. It's a permanent cutaway. So.
Right. I use that in a lot of my purse designs. When I create a purse, like, for example, this purse that I created. Right. I used the poly mesh cutaway when I created the purse. Yeah. But when I did the flower on it, I used the water soluble mesh.
Right.
And this one I attached with a little rhinestone, sparkly.
Nice. Oh, I love them. Now, do you ever make a pin?
Oh, yes. Like the one I'm wearing. This is one of the flowers. It's the dahlia.
Yeah.
And I use these, they're name badge magnets.
Oh.
And, you know, you can get like a whole pack of them. And you just, this one actually has sticky on it. You peel the paper off, and I put the magnet on the back here. Yeah. And the other magnet is inside my shirt.
Right. So you're not harming your garment. You're not putting a pin in it or anything like that. That's great. I love
It's
that.
very easy. They stick really well to the flowers.
Yeah.
I
And
got
then yeah,
ahead.
Ann Hendricks wanted to know, do the pieces for a flower come in one hooping? Well, that would kind of depend, right? So you want to, they're individual designs, right? Like each layer is an individual design. And of course, you can gang them up in a hoop, right? Like do multiple layers.
Right. You don't want to add too many, but
Right.
you can certainly do that.
Yes.
And like I said, for some of the flowers, like, let's see, I know the one that I did on this big letter, the R, I used different petals from different flowers because each flower in the set is within its own folder.
Okay,
so
that makes sense.
Through and it's like, oh, I like this shape.
Yeah.
Oh, I like the shape of that one.
Right.
And so that's what's so versatile about the set. You can create your own flowers.
That's great.
There's no right or wrong, really.
Yeah. Yeah. So for the water-soluble mesh that I use is the Sew and Wash brand by Dime Exquisite. That's what we use here. I don't know if you use the same ones. And Kathy Keller wants to know, where do you get that pin, the magnet for that?
I ordered a box of these off of Amazon.
Off Amazon, yeah. Who is very busy these days.
Magnet.
Yeah. And Sandra Chadwell said, what a cute idea with the letter. Now that's cork, right? That great big letter. So
and how I actually did this, I actually used Dime software.
Awesome.
Professional Embroidery Pro.
Yes.
And, it's got built-in fonts.
Right.
So I used one of the built-in fonts, brought it in, turned it into stitching.
Okay.
And, so I had a placement, then I have an outline, and you just create an offset.
Yeah.
So that it would stitch it together.
Okay.
And actually, I cut it out on my cutting machine because then I could create an SVG file for it.
Sure. Right. Yep.
Right. So
and in Perfect Embroidery Pro, you can save SVG, the cutting files, and you can also save an FCM for Brother Scan and Cut. So all of those formats are in the software.
Yeah. Right. So it was really very easy. I put Peltex inside here too to make it nice and give it some body.
Yes. And
I used the ability to make the SVG so I could cut the Peltex out because it's cut just slightly smaller than the letter. Yeah. And it's inside there, making it nice and stiff.
Right. And then it doesn't peek out beyond the stitching, right?
Right.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Those scanners make us look like rock stars, don't they?
Yes, they do. I love them.
I love them too. Yeah. Let's see. Ruth Ann Hansen says she has a 5x7. She's been using our hoops for years. She needs to get the bigger one now that she has a Solaris. Yeah, well, I don't blame her because, that Solaris, pretty cool. But we're going to go through all the hoops today. So, Murtis, you need that software. This is a great time in our life to dive into software because a lot of us are home, right? And this is a very creative time for us. Reen, I know you should be on the road. Where should you be right now?
Actually, today I should be traveling to Murfreesboro.
Oh, Tennessee.
In Murfreesboro.
Right.
We had to cancel, or I'm sorry, we rescheduled. We weren't canceling anything. We have rescheduled.
Oh, absolutely. And the Dime events also.
The middle of May, I rescheduled it.
Good. Yes. And then Caroline Hargrave Booth wanted to know, is the back, and I hated to ask this myself, is the back of the R cork also?
Yes.
Oh, it's two-sided. Very, very nice. Yeah.
And Caroline is the one who made me the sign. And
that's great. Caroline, you did a beautiful job on that. It's gorgeous. Well, I'll have to tell you why I was afraid to ask about the wrong side of the letter R because, for years, most of my embroidery was done for the magazine. And I always, when I would bring my trunk show as we traveled around the country, I would say, well, if you want to be disappointed, look inside the garment because it's all done for photography, not really for wearing. So I'm glad yours was finished. You did a good job. Yeah.
Yeah, that's part of all of my designs. In the hoop, I want everything finished inside.
Oh, that's right. For sure. Yeah. And so you do have so many in the hoop projects. You know, it's interesting to me that you really started your whole business, your whole career on concentrating within the limits of the hoop, right? To really get the best and the most out of it within that interior. And I know you started when like 5x7 was the woohoo, right? Was the top.
That was the ginormous hoop back then.
Yep.
But yes, I do like to maximize the hoop when I create something.
Yes.
You know, so.
Yeah. And some of your projects do, you know, talk about multiple hooping, but basically, you know, you managed to get everything in that hoop. I love that. It's really cool. Oh, and speaking of Mid-South Sewing, Karen Rouse is saying hello. Hi, Karen.
Hi, Karen.
Thanks for joining us. I know you would much rather be shaking her hand, Reen's hand, but oh well. Yeah, and Ethel, you want to know how that letter was made? Well, she used a font that was in her Perfect Embroidery Pro software and enlarged it to that gigantic size, sent it to her cutting machine so that it cut out perfectly. And, you know, anyway, that's how she did it. But you could rewatch this broadcast and she had gone through all the steps. So, yeah, super fun. So I know that you have... you use the monster hoops for a lot of different projects, right? Yes, so some quilting, and you have kind of a big project behind you that you're tipping your toes into.
Let me grab. So the two hoops that I have the 8x8.
Okay.
Which is great for quilt blocks and things like that, and smaller projects. And I have the 9.5x14.
Wow.
And I haven't worked on it in a little while, but I started doing the dream panel, the big dream panel that has the big flower on it.
Yes.
And so using the magnetic hoop and, you know, my machine that I have, I went in and I started filling in all of the leaves on the flower with different stitches.
Wow. So Reen, now we know these dream panels we're seeing all over the country. People, you know, it started out as a free motion quilting project, right? By people who like to do all that beautiful work just by hand, not hand, but, you know, free motion. And then, you know, with the Solaris and the Luminaire, and I'm sure some top of the line, you know, the Bernina and Viking and Fop, people are jumping on board. So are you digitizing each leaf independently? How are you getting them quilted?
And the flower has multiple leaves all over it.
Yes.
And with this large hoop, I can get 2 petals sometimes in the hoop area.
Right.
And I've used my design center on my Luminaire. And
great. So you're using
the fills.
Right. Okay. So you just kind of go right into the machine and scan probably, and then draw that shape and then fill it instantly with a beautiful fill. Yeah. Isn't it fun?
Yes, it is. And then it's so easy to just, you know, move the hoop, move the hoop over, move your quilt to the next area. Kind of hard for me to do right here.
Right. Absolutely. I understand.
And just lay it down again, and then you're ready to go.
Right. You're ready to go. That's awesome. And Mary Ellen Bronson, hello to you. Nice to see you for joining us. And then you asked, can that big hoop be used on a baby lock 10 needle? The largest hoop we have for a 10 needle is a 8x12. So that's our limit there. We have the 8x8, the 5x7, and the 4x4. And let's see. Oh, Sharon Blaylock, you just finished an edge-to-edge quilt on your Solaris. That's cool. Yeah, great source of designs on from edge to edge. Christine Connor and Amelie Scott Design. She was with us last week. So I love that placemat you have there in your hand, Reen.
Yeah, well, it's adapted from your flower box quilt.
Thank you.
The set of designs, but I used the 9.5x14 hoop on it to do all the quilting. Bring a little bit closer. Maybe you could see some of the quilting on it.
Beautiful. Yeah, you did a great job. And I think, is that a pocket on the one side that you put the silverware in?
Yes, it is.
Oh, that was so creative. I was just tickled when I saw that. I love to see what other people do with, you know, everybody's designs. You know, you kind of, I'm sure you feel the same way. You have a vision as you create your design, and it's a lot of work to get a product out. There's a lot of testing, and we're confined by the limits of our machine, and our hoops. And yet, I think we both agree that we try to get the absolute most out of that. And so then we test and we test and we get it to market. And then when we see what other people do, it's just a fabulous feeling.
Right. And then sometimes those things that people do lead you to another idea or inspires you to do something else.
Right. Absolutely. We learn from each other all the time and are inspired from each other. And Barbara Shaw wanted to know if we have these hoops for Bernina. We sure do. And I'll get into where you can find the compatibility chart in a little while. But yes, we do. We make it for Bernina, Baby Lock Brother, Viking Singer, and Viking and Pfaff. So, and we have some for the Janome 500E. And let's see. Okay, so why don't we take a look at some of these hoops? I think a lot of people have been wondering about that. So let's switch over to this camera 2 and we'll get a good look. Okay, first. Is you have this plastic shield, right? And this is just for storage. And it says, warning, this is a magnetic device, right? So it's a magnetic top and a flat metal bottom. It comes with the attachment that is recognized by your machine. And this plastic shield you only use for storage. So, when you're actually embroidering, you just set it aside, which I'll do now. So in order to hoop, let's say a towel, and I have a towel right here. I place my hoop. I like to place it on my hoop mat because I know it's not going to move. And then stabilizer right over that metal frame. And then I position my towel somewhat in the center. And then take my magnetic top. And I can feel that it is positioned right next to the attachment, and I just want to make sure that the ends are, fairly close together. And I set it perpendicular because now I can smooth my fabric and release that and not have my hands get in the way. And then I just smooth and tug on that fabric, and there I'm hooped. You can see how nice and strong it is, and I can then go to the machine. Now, a good idea is to take your magnetic shield and place it underneath the hoop and transport it to the machine from your hooping station with that plastic shield in place. And then when you get to the machine, remove that and attach it by, slide it into the machine by the attachment. So what you don't want to do is put your hand here. You'll go all the way through. You'll pull that fabric out of place. So you just always hold it by the attachment and then slide that into the machine. If you have to remove the hoop during embroidery for some reason, slide it off by the attachment and firmly hold top and bottom together in your hand as you remove. Because if you go like this, you will literally just slide that top frame apart, and you probably don't want to do that. Okay, so that's the basics of how to hoop with a 5x7. And let's see. So let's talk about a onesie, right? So because these hoops come in all different sizes. We start at a 4x4 and we go all the way in the brother line to 10.5 by 16. So on a 4x4, oftentimes I would use that for a onesie or possibly left chest embroidery. But let's go ahead and take a look at a onesie. So I have my onesie. I have my design area stabilizer. This is what people were referring to earlier was poly mesh, which is really a nylon product. But anyway, that's another class. So I have that fused onto my design area, and I'm going to flip it over and place a design area down. And then I take my magnetic top, and I have on here what's called hoop guard, which is a device that is going to create a barrier and allow me to open this onesie. So I snap that onto the frame, and then I just open up the the bottom area, the leg opening, and pull it up there. And then I'm just going to smooth my shirt in place. Now you have to kind of take your time to make sure that your shirt is positioned nice and square vertically. Just take a little bit of time. And then I use the hoop guard to lift that up and expose the whole sewing field. So without it, I would have that, right? But then that hoop guard allows me to open that up. And then when I slide this onto the machine, I'm going to flip this around so you know that this is how it would go onto the machine this way, and my needle would be here. So isn't that great? I love that on the 4x4. But we can go bigger for sure. We have the 5x7, which I just showed you. This is a very common size. So I use this for hand towels, bath towels, some baby items like baby blankets and that type of thing. But then I can go bigger for sure. So I have a 6x10 over here that I have used to hoop a tote bag. So I've turned my tote bag inside out. So I have my design area is laying in the monster hoop. And then when I place this on the machine, I put this over the head of the machine and actually let the needle just travel in here so that I don't inadvertently stitch on the other part of the bag, right? Then I don't have a bag anymore because I can't get inside. Okay, so then we can move to some square hoops. So like we have an 8x8. Here's a great example of a baby quilt. So this is a heavy fleece blanket that normally would suffer hoop burn in a standard hoop. In a standard hoop, I probably wouldn't be able to get my embroidery so close to the edge of the blanket. So this is what I love an 8x8 hoop for. Very helpful, very nice size, 8x8. And then sometimes 8x8s are good for a t-shirt, the center front of a t-shirt. If you want to put a large medallion. In fact, Reen, this is one of your designs from your lace collection that I thought might look really pretty on a t-shirt. So I have my template in place, and then I'm able to hoop this because it's a magnetic hoop. I'm able to hoop it with just the ribbing captured into the frame itself. That's it. So that's pretty cool. And then I would go to the machine and nest all of this up above the machine, right? But yet leaving it open so that the needle could travel around and stitch that design. So love the 8x8. That's very versatile. Also on garments, this is a really lovely wool jacket that would suffer hoop burn in a standard hoop. It's also thick, so it probably wouldn't hoop that well. But in Monster Hoop, I can fuse that polymesh stabilizer to the wrong side of my wool jacket and then stitch right close to the edge. I don't have to have all of that fabric secured in the hoop. I can just allow the stabilizer to be secured in the hoop and then go ahead and stitch my whole design. So it's another great use for a monster hoop because, you know, this is a difficult job to do without sticky stabilizer. And boy, I don't like sticky stabilizer on a garment such as this. First off, if it's wool, I'm not going to, you know, wash away any kind of adhesive water soluble. But, and then on a sticky, I don't want to have that tear away in my garment. You know, this is a really lovely wool jacket, so I don't want to do that. Okay, so now let's talk about, you know, Reen, I know you like to do your quilting in one hoop, right? So I like to, you know, often do just blocks like you talked about. So here's a really cool metallic thread, beautiful design that I stitched on this table runner. So here I'm going to turn this right side up. But this is our 9.5 by 9.5 hoop. So that's a very generous sewing field. And that 9.5 by 9.5 allows you some wiggle room if you have a 9-inch block. Because, you know, it's the wiggle room that's really necessary so that you can land your embroidery exactly where you want it. So if you, try to do a 9.5 by 9.5 design in a 9.5 by 9.5 hoop, well, you really got to land it absolutely perfectly, or you'll be disappointed in your placement. So that's the 9.5 by 9.5. Love that. And then we have here I have a placemat. This is actually one of our cheater quilts called the Ohio Star, that we sell the actual the fabric itself, and it comes with these custom quilting designs that fill those shapes perfectly. So I've cut that cheater quilt up, so I'm going to make a set of placemats. And of course, the embroidery will still look absolutely beautiful in it. So this is this is an 8 by 12, very generous sewing field. These designs are 6 inches wide and 6 inches tall. And of course, I could get this extra border design in there if I wanted to. So, that's a nice size hoop. I really like this 8 by 12. In fact, was my go-to quilting hoop for a long time, until the machine companies opened up that sewing field, right, and gave us some other possibilities. So I'll give you one more look at that same Ohio Star. Now, this is a baby quilt that, so the Ohio Star, I believe when you buy that quilt top, and of course it comes with the embroidery designs, it is 54 inches wide by 72 inches in height. Well, that's a very generous quilt, right? Well, I cut it in half, and then I used it as a baby quilt, and I just added the little girl's name and some pretty little hearts. I used my embroidery, my digital cutter to do that. And of course, I used Perfect Embroidery Pro to cut out all those shapes and just size everything perfectly. The cheater quilts are a great way for us, all of us, to learn these quilting techniques. You're going to be, your finished result will be a very attractive quilt that you can use for numerous reasons, placemats or a baby quilt or, a lap quilt. But you'll learn the techniques of placement, how to hoop, how to advance the fabric, and all of that. So super excited about using those quilts for those, to learn. So let's see. Then we have, I'm getting a little crowded over here. Then we have another cheater quilt called Crisscross. I love this quilt. And it is a red, blue. Now this hoop is the 9 by 14. So this is a very generous size hoop. Notice my big design that I can use to fill this whole hoop. And this hoop also measures 54 inches wide by 72. And you'll know that when you stitch this, it's going to stitch up pretty quickly because you'll use that big hoop. And I just want to show you the applique that I added for that. So that's that fun anchor. Again, I used Perfect Embroidery Pro to just draw that anchor and then to cut it out. I mean, and if you don't have a digital cutter, you can cut out, you can print this shape on paper and then just cut it out and manually apply it. So, that software is really very versatile. Okay, but that's not the biggest one. Oh no, we go even bigger. We go even bigger. So last week I showed you a quilt that I was in the middle of making, and this is our 10 by 16. Okay, so Isabel Brian wanted to know, what is a cheater quilt? Well, that quilt that I just showed you is not pieced. It's one whole cloth. So there are no, even though it appears like there are blocks, they're not pieced together. It's just printed fabric, and it allows you to, kind of cheat. Everybody thinks that you pieced it, but you didn't. So that's what a cheater quilt is. Okay, then Gloria said the video has stopped. Is that true? Hey, could you just give me a thumbs up if you all can still see the video? Let's see, love the magnet. Just give us a thumbs up or a couple emojis so we can see that we know we're doing the right thing. Okay, well, I guess I'll just go on. So the 10 by 16 is gigantic. So I have a quilt that I've been working on, and I'm not going to pull it all the way out because it measures 90 inches by 90 inches, and it's a Cafe Fawcett pattern, which, you know, I love his work. So next week we're going to tackle quilting this on this gigantic hoop, so that you can see how you actually advance the fabric when you work on such a big project. But, you know, that is all of the sizes that we make for Baby Lock Brother. But I know there's lots of other machines out there. So let's come on back and talk about that. I know Reen has her favorites, which are the 8x8 and the 8x12. Is that what you have?
I've got the 8x8, and I've got, you know what? I think it's actually 9x9.
Oh, you do have the 9x9? Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was wrong, and it is a 9x9.
Okay.
Because I remember something I stitched in it, and it had to be 9x9.
Yeah.
And I've got the 9.5 by 14.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's a good size, the 9.5 by 14. Well, you know, they're really all good sizes. You know, I know when I do events, people say, well, what size should I get? So I often tell people, well, what hoop at home do you use the most, right? And that's the one you should get in a monster hoop, because obviously that's the type of project you're using. So for me, quilting, go big. Garments, stay medium size, right?
Right. A lot of times at events, I get the question, can you do it in the hoop design in a magnetic hoop? Mm-hmm. And yes, you can. It's very easy. It's basically the same. One advantage, I think, is if you have to do any kind of trimming or anything, the magnetic hoop is nice and flat. So when you're trying to cut or do something, you don't have the ridge of a traditional hoop, like kind of in your way when you're trying to get into a little corner or something.
Right. And that's the trick in all of your designs. There's lots of trimming that goes on during the whole process of the In the Hoop project, right? And so when they take it out, when it's done, it's complete usually, right?
Yeah, usually it's just a matter of trimming and turning it to the right side.
Yeah.
And, you know, you've got something useful and nice when you're done.
Yeah, that's great. That's really great. So we have, what is next? I don't know. Let's see. Laura, you say, I love all embroidery. Yeah, we do too. So we kind of want to know what you're working on. I think that Reen has offered to give away one of her lace collections, which is very, very generous. And let's see. Okay. Oh, and I want to talk about, people often ask if the magnetic hoop will hurt their machine. So let's talk about that. So, you know, when the Janome 8000 came out in the early 90s, we were told, do not put a magnetic pin cushion near your machine. And boy, we followed that advice, right? And then as time went on and the hoops got bigger and bigger and the machines got bigger and bigger, and our cell phones got smaller and smaller and smaller as compared to that cell phone that was in a tote bag in the 90s. Do you remember that, Reen?
Yes.
Yeah. So that means the technology, you know, as things got big, the technology really shrunk. And so the brain in those machines today is about the size of your thumbnail. I mean, think of what your phone can do, you know, in your pocket, right? It's just a whole computer in your pocket.
Right.
So the brain is highly insulated. And also the magnetic shield is obstructed by the metal base. So if I were to put a pair of scissors on the bottom of the magnetic top, they would stick right to it. But then if I had the magnetic top on the metal bottom and put scissors underneath, they wouldn't attach. So that's a good test. And really, we have here in this building, my goodness, we have hundreds and hundreds of hoops, and we've never had an issue. Now, people ask if we make it for the Janome 500E, and we do. We don't have that latest new big hoop in development yet, but we will pretty soon. And so, Reen, you're in a new space, aren't you? You want to tell us about your new space?
Yes, we recently moved. And I got a brand new space to work in. I've got several little windows up here. It's kind of gloomy today, so it's not
Oh,
really bright in here, but
yeah.
I had a lot of fun setting it up. It's just a nice bright area for me to work in. And
So
I
it's
was
in your
really excited.
home. Is it in your home or is it a separate place?
It's in our home. It is downstairs in the
Okay.
basement. The basement is finished,
Yeah,
and it's just nice and bright, and I just love it.
that's great. There's nothing like a new, fresh sewing room, right?
Right.
Everything's organized
That's
right now.
right. I haven't even really messed it up too much yet because
Yeah,
I work on something and it's like, oh, I better put that away now so that it
yeah.
stays looking nice.
And you have, did you do a quick video on like a tour of the setup, right? Did I see that online?
Yes, and my friend Molly, she came and she helped me set up everything, and we did a time lapse, and it's kind
Great.
of
Oh, that's awesome. Because that must have been a big project.
it was, it's a big project. I have a lot of big tables and cabinets and things, and
Right.
I felt kind of bad for the movers, but they got it
Yeah.
out here, and
Right. And fabric is heavy,
yeah,
I know when I moved from Philadelphia to Texas, that kind of gave me a look, but what are you going to do? It's our hobby. Yeah. So how many embroidery machines do you have there in your new space?
Well, let's see. I've got my Luminaire. I've got my Dream Machine. I have my mom had an Innovis, and I still have her Innovis.
Okay.
I've got a serger. I've got a couple of sewing machines, cutting machine, lots of toys.
Lots of toys. Yeah.
Oh, and I
So
got my tin needle. I forgot that.
you have a what?
A tin needle right here beside
Yeah,
me.
right behind you. Yeah. Do you use the 10 needle a lot? I bet you use that for your lace a lot.
Yes, I use it for the lace a lot. It's great
Right.
for that kind of thing that you just set it and go and let
Right.
it do its thing.
Yeah. Do you use it for your in the hoop projects?
Yes. Any machine can do an in the hoop project. It doesn't matter, if it's a 10 needle or a single needle. It doesn't matter if you're using traditional hoops or the magnetic hoops. It all works.
Right. It all works. And so what sizes do your designs come in? Like, do you have an awful lot in 5x7 or?
I have a lot in 4x4 and 5x7.
Wow. Yeah.
As we've gotten bigger and bigger hoops, it's a blank canvas. Now
Yeah.
there are so many things that I'm able to create.
That's great.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. And when people start with a 4x4 or a 5x7, I almost think it makes them a better embroiderer because they learn to get the most out of that hoop and how to do, multiple hoopings because you have to, really, right? Yeah. So I know with the top of the line machines, we get pretty spoiled. And I feel like my embroidery skills get rusty because those machines just spoil us.
That's true.
Let's see. I'm just trying to see. Carol Scucci, she does a lot of lace on her 10 needle too. Yeah, and somebody said, I detected a Philly accent. Her family's originally from Philly. Yeah, I was raised at the Jersey Shore, so not far from Philly, but very, closer to Philly than New York for sure. So let's see. I thought I would maybe bring up in PowerPoint where you find the hoops, but let's see. Okay, so here maybe we'll just switch me out. There we go. So most certainly at your local dealer. Now I know a lot of dealers right now are maybe they're closed or maybe they're just offering curbside service or they would like you to call before you come or something like that under these circumstances here in America today. So it's a good idea to support your local dealer if you can. If they're not available there, they are available on our website and we do ship all over. And Janet wants to know, do you think they're worth the extra money? And yeah, definitely. And don't let me answer that. Just read the comments because they are really, really, I don't know. I don't think I would still be embroidering if I had not invented the magnetic hoop. And then she also wanted to know, how long do the lace flowers take? Well, it depends on how, they come in multiple sizes and different petals and the speed of your machine, but they're pretty stitch intensive because they're lace. Okay, so on our website, you can search for hoops and it'll take you here. And then at the bottom of the page, there's in light blue, it says click here for the compatibility chart. So when you do that, you can select it either by brand, or if you see where that red arrow is pointing to the word here, if you click there, you can download the compatibility chart, which is this chart. And at the top of the chart, it will tell you the size of the hoop. And on the left-hand column, it will tell you the machine brand and model. And then in the interior, where they meet on that diagram, it tells you what the model number is. So it's, you know, easy to find your machine, and they are all recognized by the machines if your machine has that feature. So easy to find the one that you want or the one that fits your machine for sure. So, so how are we going to pick somebody to win? Well, I do have a helper here who can pick a from a random drawing through the comments, and her name is Kayla. So we're so excited to have her do this. This is the first time that we've done a giveaway, I think, during a Facebook Live. It's very generous of you, Reen.
Well, I'm happy to do it. All I'll need is, you know, her to pick a winner and then have them contact me, you know, via my website or on Facebook.
Okay, so like private message
collections.
Yeah, so like maybe private message on your Facebook page. So you'd go over to Embroidery Garden's Facebook page and private message there, and then she would send that to you. So what is up? You know, well, I was going to ask what's next for you, Reen. I know a lot of us are in limbo as far as travel and events, but I'm sure you're going to use your time at home well and dive into something creative.
Yes, I figure I have this time available to me now. I am going to do a couple of Facebook Lives. I'm going to be creating designs while I have this time.
Yeah,
you know,
great.
I want to get some more event designs done.
Good.
You know, because before we know it, it'll all be over and we'll all be back to doing, you know, our normal everyday things. So I want to be prepared and have some new stuff for people.
Absolutely. And it is a trying time, you know, and I mean, we are best to follow the government guidelines and take care of ourselves, wash our hands as best we can, right?
Right.
Yeah. So
I did want to mention something too, though, that the lace collection is also available with a thread kit.
Wow, it's beautiful.
There are 12 colors of dime exquisite thread.
Yep, 40 weight. Yep.
Yeah, and you know, perfect for doing the lace flowers. And it also comes with the design set. This is the card in the back. So when you open the box, you have a serial number and it has instructions on how you download, but it's available with the thread and the design set together, or you can just get, you know, the design set separate.
Right. And, you know, you really selected some beautiful colors. We have a range of 280 shades, and she really, you know, she did that, handpicked it herself. She did a beautiful job. And, you know, I should have asked you before, but I was not surprised when we asked, well, I was thrilled when we asked you to do a lace collection that you said yes. And then that what you wanted to do was flowers.
Right. Dimensional flowers.
Yes. And, you know, I kind of asked her about it, and tell them how you came up with the name Embroidery Garden. What was your inspiration for that?
Well, Embroidery Garden, I've been in business now for almost 20 years, and I always had a flower garden. And this is our third house, and I always had a really big garden. I was inspired by Dave's mom, Betty, who always had a flower garden. And she taught me a lot of things about flowers. And so, you know, I just kind of made my own garden, and we would exchange little cuttings and things like that. Yeah. And then after, you know, a few years of me teaching and traveling, I just couldn't take care of my garden anymore outside. Right. So we had it dug up and sod put down over it. But now I have these little flowers that'll just last forever. So but she unfortunately passed away back in January, but she was a huge inspiration to me.
That's beautiful. And that whole floral thing is just a thread through your whole life, your whole career. And, you know, to give kudos to your mother-in-law is very sweet. We don't often hear people speak so highly of their mother-in-law. I was so impressed when you shared that with me several months ago. I thought that was really sweet.
Yeah, she was very special. So
yeah. Do you have grandchildren, Reen?
we have one
One.
grandson named Ethan. He's 6 years old.
Oh, how fun. How fun. So you know how important it is to be a good mother-in-law, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I learned from one of the best, and you know, I
Yeah.
try to, you know, set an example. And you know, I love
Yeah.
my kids, and my kids they picked some good wives, so we were lucky.
That's good. That's good. I have a wonderful mother-in-law. She lives in Minnesota, and in fact, she was on the phone with my husband last night. And I said, after they hung up, I said, you know, I love to hear you talk to your mom. I said, you are her firstborn, and I know that just, you know, makes her heart swell. And it's just I can hear him as a child. I didn't know him as a child, but I could just that early relationship with your mother is so sweet. So. I'm all about the mother-in-laws. If you're blessed with a good one, it's great. It's really great.
Yeah.
So I wonder who's going to win. Do we have a winner? All right. I think we have a winner. She's going to run it across the screen. And it is.
See that you use some of the lace collection on a garment.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, on that blue garment, I'm going to stitch that out. I love that blue jacket. So our winner is Lauren Hathcock Simoneau, maybe Simoneau. Yeah. So, yeah. Oh yeah. Here we have to do that. Here we have applause. Yeah.
Congratulations, Lauren. Just give me a message, and I'll get the lace collection to you.
That's great. Yep. So, Reen, anything else you want to add in before we sign off? It's been awful fun having you here today.
Oh, well, thanks, Eileen. Thanks for inviting me. You know, everyone just keep creating. You have this time. Your kids are home. Teach them to sew. Teach them to embroider. You know,
absolutely.
Spend some time with them, and you know, just keep stitching.
That's right. I'm all for that. Keep stitching. I know, you know, when I get anxious or stressed, I go home and I piece like that quilt I showed you. This one, you know, I've been recently working weekends and nights, and you're going to see it finished next week, layered, and we'll quilt it together. But it does give me peace of mind. So I hope you enjoy that same, you know, feeling when you embroider and sew.
Right. It's a great stress reliever.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us, and we wish you the best, Reen. We'll see you online.
Well, thank you. Bye, everyone.
Okay. Bye, everyone.